Hi, you guys. My name is Faye, and I need a vacation, and I think you do too. So let's distract ourselves with some reality TV nonsense. Today, we're going to be discussing the third episode of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Somehow, so much happened in this episode, but I'm really going to try to do my hardest to keep this recap short and sweet. So let's get right into it. So we begin the episode with Lisa and John. They're at the Premier Vita Tequila Lounge. I think they own it. I don't know. But yeah, they're preparing for an event for 200 people. And Lisa says that she's moving on with her life. And she also drops some names. Of course, she wouldn't be Lisa if she didn't. So she tells us that she's been working with Daniel Radcliffe, Forrest Whitaker, Shailene Woodley, I believe, Steve Carell, and even Usher. Lisa goes on to say that she feels like the women don't understand who she works with and what she does, and she feels like they always try to diminish her accomplishments or deny that they're even happening. And what they also don't understand, according to Lisa, is that if you
run big businesses and do cool things, people are going to sue you.
That sounded like Trump. Lisa also tells us that they have more than 6 lawyers on deck. They always cross their T's and dot their I's, and production is so shady. They put up pictures of some of the most famous TV lawyers. You got Elle Woods up there, you got Saul from Breaking Bad up there, and there's Viola Davis from How to Get Away with Murder. So yeah. So in the end, Lisa does assure us that she's fine, she's still fabulous. And even she notices that she's coming off really braggy, and she's like,
am I coming off braggy? Well, it's true. I've done amazing things.
In the next scene, we see Bronwyn and her husband Todd go out for lunch. Bronwyn is trying really hard, but Todd already looks so annoyed. Speaking of annoyed, Bronwyn does share with us in the confessional that Todd has acknowledged that the way he speaks to her sometimes is not okay, that he's been working really hard since last year's reunion, and she even credits him for having made more changes than she has. What I've also noticed is that when Bronwyn speaks to her husband, it's way different than the way she talks to anyone else. Her voice literally goes up, and it almost sounds like you would talk to a baby or a dog. Like, it's wild. Like I said, Todd's every pore is just exuding annoyance. He's sitting there, he has his arms crossed, he has his head down, he's looking at her over his glasses, and his entire posture is just saying, let's just get this over with. It's like he has to endure this whole conversation. And I get it. Apparently, Todd does not like being on camera. He hates being a part of the show. But come on, I mean, obviously Bronwyn partaking in this show was a decision that you guys made as a couple, as a family, and as her husband, it's your role to support her and not embarrass her. Anyway, Bronwyn shares that a lot has changed. Both of her parents had moved in with her due to health complications. Unfortunately, her mother had a brain tumor, and her father apparently has been suffering from Alzheimer's for over 10 years. And her mother, thank God, is going to recover. She's going to be fine. She had surgery, but her father now needs 24/7 care. So they had to admit him into a memory care facility. And she shares with Todd that on his good days, she feels really guilty about that. Like, why couldn't I have managed this at home? Bronwyn also thanks Todd for stepping up for her parents, for letting them move into their home, and also for supporting them financially. I mean, like, I get it. Like, you want to, of course, thank your spouse and not take things for granted. But at the same time, like, those are your parents. You guys are supposed to be affluent, wealthy. Why would you not support your parents if they're going through health crises? I didn't like the fact that apparently he was against it before. Anyway, when Bronwyn thanks him, Todd just nods curtly. He's not even looking at her. He's looking to the side, like, so annoyed. And she's like,
Todd, look at me.
and then he looks at her finally. Todd then makes somewhat of an effort to have a conversation with Bronwyn, and he asks her about how her meeting with Meredith went. Apparently, the two of them met up and bonded over the fact that they both had fathers who were dealing with illnesses. And Bronwyn tells us that she feels like it's brought the two of them closer, and perhaps Meredith can see her in a new light. Then the conversation switches to Lisa, and Todd tells Bronwyn that he doesn't understand why she even puts up with her at all. Oh, the camera caught this, and I don't know if they were trying to be shady, but we see Todd literally putting sugar in his iced tea. I was like, wow, okay. Anyway, Bronwyn admits that she just cannot stand when people don't like her. And Todd's like,
a lot of people don't like you.
And Bronwyn's like,
oh my God, who?
Like, she's like shocked. And Todd's like,
well, look at your Facebook thingy.
And she's like, oh.
Okay, yeah, you mean Instagram? Yeah, loads of people leave me hate comments.
Bronwyn does say that the situation just bothers her. She can't help but overthink, and she wants to make it right because she doesn't want to be uncomfortable herself or make the group uncomfortable. Now, Bronwyn, I have to say, trying to fix a relationship or make things right with someone is usually best done when you're not bringing all their legal issues to the forefront and even talking badly about them behind their back. But hey, what do I know? Todd is very firm though that Lisa's actions and her words are unforgivable. And in the end, Bronwyn just asks him how can she get to a place where she's okay with being loudly disliked by Lisa. And he just tells her,
you won't.
Gee, quite the supportive husband. We see a much brighter scene when Angie goes to visit her father in his home. It's really cute. She shows up with an orchid as a gift. He makes them Greek coffee on the stove. Like, it's just so cute. And they sit down, and Angie brings up how every year her father plants his garden, and then every time when the roses bloom, she's just reminded that she's been gifted another year with her father. And I thought that was so beautiful. Like, it almost had me choked up a little. But yeah, apparently they're really close. Angie says that they speak in the mornings and in the evenings every single day on the phone. The father brings out some old family photos that apparently Angie has never seen, and he tells her a little bit about his childhood, his life, you know, growing up during war times. And this is actually very sad. Angie noticed that he looked sad and his mother looked sad in all of the pictures. And he was like, yeah, there was nothing to smile about. Life was hard. Like, they were going through hunger, they were going through poverty, the cold. He tells Angie about a time when he was 7 and the German soldiers burnt down their entire village. And what got me is when he said, but there wasn't even a lot to burn. Like, we didn't have anything. Like, we didn't have any furniture even. Like Angie said, the superficial things we're concerned about are so dumb. Like, we should be so grateful every single day. The father also shares that when he came to the US, he came with only his ticket. Like, he had no luggage, and the people were like, where are your clothes? And he was like, I'm wearing them. And yeah, I mean, doesn't that put things into perspective? He also says that his mind is still in that place, like he thinks about those times all the time. Angie, of course, is very emotional already, and then they start talking about Greece, which makes the both of them tear up. And Angie saying how Crete specifically feels like her home too. She says that she wants to share this love of being Greek and this culture with her daughter, Electra. Back to another icy scene with Bronwyn, and when I tell you, this is just like the worst. So we see Bronwyn at home with her mother. We meet her mother for the first time, I believe. Bronwyn brings the two of them sodas, and as soon as she hands the mother her soda, like her mother has barely even touched it with her hand, she's like,
oh, it's not cold.
I was like, okay, it's gonna be like that, I see. The two of them speak about Bronwyn's childhood home in California. Her mother is currently going through all of the things so that the home can be sold. And she does get emotional when she says that she doesn't feel right to even throw anything away when her husband is not even like able to communicate his wishes. So that's really, really sad. Alzheimer's is so tragic. Bronwyn and her mother both start almost crying. Bronwyn in her confessional shares that of course she feels sorry that this is happening to her father, for him obviously, but that it's almost harder on the people around him who love him. And she says that she already feels so bad about losing her father, but then she feels like, oh, like how hard must it be for my mother? I think Bronwyn should give herself some grace and some space to feel sad and not compare herself to her mom and feel like she needs to be strong. Apparently, the father does not remember Bronwyn as an adult, and he actually thinks that Bronwyn is Gwen, her daughter. Bronwyn then starts crying as she's reliving this time in her life when she had to drop out of college because she found herself single and pregnant. And it's very clear that she still carries a lot of shame around that period of her life, and that makes me really sad for her because obviously she loves her daughter. She's, beautiful inside out, I'm sure. She was blessed with a healthy child, and although that didn't go the way that Bronwyn had planned, perhaps, she still ended up with a pretty great result, and she should forgive herself for that time, and she should let go of that shame. There's nothing to be ashamed about. Like, she didn't hurt anyone. Back to the conversation with her mom, Bronwyn is almost crying and saying that she thinks that her father always expected better of her. That's when her mother asks her, "Do you think you're not good enough?" And then when Bronwyn says yes, she doesn't encourage her. She doesn't reassure her. She's just like,
"He just wanted what's best for you."
That to me, that hurt me through the screen. Bronwyn is trying to kind of almost console herself. And she says,
"Well, it did take me a while longer to get where I wanted to be."
And then her mother cuts in.
"Yeah, you couldn't have done it without Todd, though. You couldn't have gotten there without a dime."
And you can see Bronwyn is so hurt. I barely even have the words. That is so cruel, so nasty. What kind of mother speaks to her daughter this way? She is just really just twisting the knife. It's like she wants Bronwyn to feel horrible about herself. Bronwyn is visibly hurt when her mother throws that in her face. However, she says,
"I know."
And it almost seems like she's heard this before from her mother, and then she tries to laugh through her pain and tell her mother that she doesn't love her saying that. But the mother keeps going. She reminds Bronwyn once again that she needed Todd to support her. And I'm like, ma'am, don't you need Todd to support you right now? Where would you be without Todd and your daughter? Let's talk about that. Bronwyn shares that this is not the first snide comment from her mother, so apparently this is a pattern, this is their relationship. And she also says that she would just live for her mother to adore her, to be proud of her, and to approve of her. And Bronwyn says she wishes that she didn't need that approval from her mother still. When I tell you, it just makes me so sad that there are people out there who don't know that their parents love them unconditionally, and for her not to feel like her mother adores her is just awful. Then the mother resolves the subject by saying, "Hey, I just hope you're gonna be okay doing this because you're gonna have to do it with Todd soon." Excuse me? Are you okay, ma'am? She literally sat there and wished ill on her husband. Who does that? Who sits there and tells someone, yeah, your husband is about to go through Alzheimer's as well? When I tell you, I think Bronwyn needs to move her out. Matter of fact, put her in a facility too. And then, because she's got it. She's got it handled over there. Bronwyn is shocked too at that comment, but once again, she starts laughing. I think maybe that's her coping mechanism, and she just makes it a joke oh, I have enough Todd's old comments outside. I don't need them in my home too. Angie goes to visit Heather. Heather is in the process of remodeling one of her rooms. It used to be a storage room for her daughter's old things. Now she wants to turn it into a personal love den, whatever that means to Heather, and it's supposed to be her creative writing space. She's also gotten another book deal for a third book, which good for you, Heather. When Angie comes over, Heather is in the middle of picking colors, or should I say testing colors for the room. They start talking, and Angie shares that she feels like her daughter is rebelling against her and how painful it is to feel rejected by her daughter when she thought that they would always be BFFs. She also shares with Heather that she's in the process of getting her Greek citizenship, and Heather's really excited for her. But unfortunately, Angie's daughter could not have cared less. You see a flashback of when Angie shared the news with her, and Electra's just honestly, I don't really care. You're taking this whole Greek thing a bit far. And Angie does tell Heather that her daughter feels like she's making being Greek her only personality, and that really hurts her. I'm sure that is very hurtful for Angie, but I believe that that's probably just a normal stage of growing up, trying to distance yourself from your parents and from what they're doing to create who you want to be for yourself on your terms. And I'm sure Angie and her daughter will be okay. So they switch gears and of course start talking about Lisa. Heather admits that at Amy's party, she was actually hiding from the confrontation. And I have to say, Heather, that is so cowardly. Like, she's the one who set all this in motion by running to Lisa and reporting everything and like getting her pissed off at all these people, and then she wants to go and hide when it goes down. Heather sums it up by saying that Lisa is either living a lie, she's in financial distress, or she's under attack. Angie says that she does have compassion for Lisa, but she just feels like Lisa makes everything so much more grand than it is and is constantly bragging about every single thing, and it's annoying, which I get. I totally understand that. I could not deal with that either in real life. Heather takes this as an opportunity to rat on Lisa and tell Angie what she said about her life being so different and so big. Of course, Angie's like, this is ridiculous. Like, she's like,
oh my God.
But in her confessional, Heather says that with her and Lisa's friendship, she's just come to the place to where she feels like she has to accept Lisa for who she is and not try to change her. However, she feels like at this point, Lisa's almost indefensible. Heather tells Angie that Lisa feels betrayed by her because they do have a history and they were really good friends, but Angie just says she feels the same way. Now we get to the main event of this episode, which we're gonna spend the majority of the time talking about, in fact. The day of Lisa's event, the skeet shooting and the luncheon has arrived. So apparently there is an A team and a D team. The A team, which consists of everyone except Bronwyn, Whitney, Angie, and even poor Brittany, who feels that her and Lisa are like sisters. I'm sure she's like, what have I done? How did I get in it? Anyway, the A team is meeting up earlier. They're going skeet shooting. That looks so fun. Lisa's actually really good at it, and so are some of the other ladies, except for Heather. Like, she's not hitting anything. And Lisa says the reason why the D team is joining them only for lunch is because she feels like they're constantly stabbing her in the back, and she wouldn't put it past them to shoot at her either. Now, Heather, of course, notices a few ladies missing, and she's like, so is this it? Is this the whole group? And then when Lisa explains the situation to her, Heather's like,
oh, so this is an elite group?
Like, just making sure that she's in Lisa's good graces and, you know, on the A team. So the shooting is over. It's time for lunch. The other ladies arrive, and Angie is very confused why they were invited at all. So they're already anticipating something going on. And Lisa does not disappoint, because when the ladies enter the dining room, everything is plastered full of huge poster boards on easels with different excerpts from her lawsuits and with photos of her and John. Bronwyn just laughs. She says it's the dumbest thing she's ever seen. It's childish. It reminds her of middle school when she used to print these posters at FedEx. When I tell you, Mary cracks me up. She's like,
well, I'm confused. I'm gonna stay confused, and I'm gonna leave confused.
and she's actually looking like in depth at the poster, like at the quality, like not even what was printed. She's like,
why is this so grainy? Like, what happened to the quality? It's hurting my eyes.
Bronwyn and Whitney are hating, of course, because they hate Lisa. So they're pointing out the Photoshop. They're making fun of the photos of Lisa and John on a yacht. There's another photo of Lisa and John at a Utah Jazz game. Lisa loudly announces that those were courtside seats. Lisa, this is where we go wrong. Like, why are there any pictures of you and John? I mean, one picture of you, that's fine. Like, you know, you want to stunt on the girls, you want to pop out and show them, but why are there pictures of you on yachts and basketball games? Like, come on. Anyway, Bronwyn says that this doesn't prove anything. In the confessional, Lisa says that this is litigation by Barlow, and she points out how people can literally sue you for any and everything. Like, if their coffee is too hot, they'll sue you. If they feel like you have more than they have or more than you should have, they'll sue you. So I have to give it to her. That is completely correct. So the group settles down, and Lisa announces that today's all about her and all the things about her that they love talking about. And she tells them that she figured she'd dedicate a lunch so they can all clear up all the questions the ladies have had behind her back. Specifically, she wants them to get clarity on accusations, misinformations, and lies is what she calls them. Angie asks what all of this is supposed to prove. Meanwhile, Bronwyn and Whitney say that they've already read the lawsuits, which is how they even know about them. And then Lisa counters with, well, obviously you didn't pay the extra $25 to get the dismissals. In this entire scene, Whitney, I feel, is playing so dumb. Like, it is so annoying. And I totally get why Lisa's frustrated. Whitney's like,
but yeah, what is this supposed to clarify?
And Lisa's like,
dismissed, dismissed, dismissed. That's what it clarifies. It's dismissed.
And honestly, I really don't get what they don't get about that. Yes, I mean, they're like, from what I've understood from watching this show, there are 5 lawsuits. 4 out of the 5 have been dismissed. 1 is still pending, has not gone to court. So I don't get why they don't understand that. So like, while I do understand that they have questions about the still open lawsuit, why aren't they understanding that 4 out of the 5 have been dismissed and they're done? Anyway, so far, so good, Lisa. However, Bronwyn asks a really good question. She wants to know, so have they been dismissed because you paid the people, or have they been dismissed because they were fake? Now, this is where it goes left for Lisa. She's like,
no, dismissed because it's none of your effing business.
I'm like, girl, Lisa, you invited these ladies here because you said you wanted to clear everything up. You wanted to give these ladies the chance to ask you all of their questions. You said you were going to clarify everything. So how are you biting Bronwyn's head off when she's asking you a question? A relevant question. Like, if you feel it's none of their business, then why have you even invited them in the first place? That makes no sense. Like, this meeting could have been a memo, and the memo could have been one word: dismissed. Anyway, Angie jumps in. She says she wants to help Lisa out. I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt, but she's basically like, Lisa, just let me ask you these questions about things that seem strange, and then you can debunk them. So she wants to know, is it true that Lisa had another man's credit card in her wallet? Is it true that that same man paid for her home to be remodeled? Is it true that he also paid off her car? And is it true that she currently owes this man $118K? Lisa does answer. She says that she's denying everything this man has accused her of. So Mary wants to clarify. She's like,
so none of it is true.
And Lisa's like,
no, it's not true.
We get another Bronwyn confessional. She's so gleeful, which is sad to me because at the end of the day, she's giving Lisa so much energy. Like, she's still obsessed with her, even if it's just an obsession to bring her down. And she reminds us that there is one case that's in fact still open and that has not been dismissed. Lisa's only denying the claims. When Lisa is confronted about the one still open lawsuit, she just keeps repeating the phrase, "It's a fanciful tale," which is apparently a phrase that her lawyers have used and she seems to like. And she tells the ladies to read her written response to the claims. Again, Lisa, you brought these ladies here so they wouldn't have to read and dig up stuff on you behind your back, but so that they could ask you directly. So when they ask you a question, how about you just answer the question? Matter of fact, like, why isn't one of your 6 or more lawyers here? Like, that would have been so cool if she just had, like, kept it really professional, had 1, maybe 2 lawyers there to field these questions, and she could have just sat there and eaten her food. Angie brings up the credit card again, but then Amy jumps in and she's kind of defending Lisa by saying that technically her and that man were in business. They were business partners, which is great for Lisa because now she gets another chance to point out that they just don't understand, like, they don't understand business basically. So Whitney wants to know once again, like, if this part of the lawsuit, like the open lawsuit, has been dismissed. Lisa then admits that it's in the process of being dismissed. Bronwyn does point out correctly that Lisa has dismissed written over the lawsuit on her poster board, and Bronwyn does say that these words are not synonymous. Lisa and John can deny the claims all they want, but that doesn't mean that they have been dismissed by a judge. Point for you, Bronwyn. Lisa then, as a response, I guess, she points out cocktails that are on the menu that are called a fanciful tale. Like, I'm really trying with you, Lisa, but what does this prove? Anyway, Lisa says that she's not worried by anything and nobody else should be either, which I think is her way of trying to wrap it up. Angie then tells Lisa that this only came up because Lisa was digging about Bronwyn, and she's referring to the necklace. Lisa denies it, of course. Bronwyn then jumps in and said that Lisa's done it to everyone, not just her. This is where I get annoyed with Bronwyn because she's acting like she's an OG and has been around these ladies from season 1. Like, this is only your 2nd season, girl. Like, this is the 3rd episode. Like, you don't even really know these people to be speaking like that about what Lisa has done over the years. Lisa then tells Bronwyn that she doesn't know anything about digging, even though she herself likes to dig. She also screams at Bronwyn that Bronwyn's only obsessed with bringing all this up because she got exposed for lying about a necklace that she didn't buy and could not buy. Which again, I mean, that is true. Lisa ends up by saying, I'm none of your business and you're none of mine. Don't ever talk to me again. Bronwyn's not ready to be done though. She's like, well, you keep talking about me and you called me a whore. Lisa then throws at Bronwyn that she's just trying to get out from the fact that her husband is a misogynistic asshole, to which Bronwyn responds by calling Lisa misogynistic for basically calling her a whore. I do have to say, Lisa, I do not like Todd. Todd, for me, is like one of the worst house husbands. Like, I cannot stand him, but like, you still shouldn't talk about the husbands. Shout out to Meredith, because we know that Lisa would melt into a puddle and act an absolute fool if anyone ever mentioned John Barlow. So just don't. Keep it to Bronwyn. Lisa reiterates that Bronwyn only brought this all up because she got caught lying. Bronwyn says she already explained about the necklace on the camping trip, but it's Lisa's fault because she didn't, because she refused to come. To which Lisa says,
I was at movie premieres for Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, and Ben Affleck.
And everyone's like, oh, like, here we go again. I get it, Lisa. You have to let the ladies know, like, you were busy, like you had work things going on, but maybe you could have just done that without all the name dropping. Heather jumps in. She tells Lisa that none of this matters and she just wants her to clarify. So Lisa repeats that everything has gotten dismissed and the one lawsuit that has not been dismissed is about to be dismissed and has absolutely no merit whatsoever. Thank you, Lisa. That's all you had to say. However, Lisa decides to get in her cheerleading bag, and when I tell you this is so embarrassing, she's like,
all of these things are true. This has happened. I did get sued 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I'm probably gonna get sued again. But is there merit to it? No. Can anybody get sued for anything? No. Do I have money? Yes. Am I proud of my accomplishments? Yes. Do I love my business? Yes. Do I factor my receivables? 100%.
Girl, where are your pom-poms? Where's your outfit? Like, at this point, you should have gotten one of the Dallas cheerleaders to do this with you. That would have been cool, at least. Anyway, I was cringing at this point. Like, everyone looks like just like they're in shock. Whitney's in the confessional. She's like,
Lisa is unhinged. Like, she is derailed.
So Lisa wants to know from Angie, what was she hoping to gain from speaking badly about her? Angie's refusing to answer the question directly, so Lisa repeats herself. This is when Mary jumps in to defend Angie, and she's like, it wasn't just Angie talking about you, it was all of us. Lisa repeats herself once more, so Angie's finally like,
well, I watched you talk about other people's businesses.
To which Lisa immediately cuts in and shuts it down. She's like, no, that's not true. Thank you for the story, Angie. So Angie gets frustrated. She's like,
you are so frustrating.
And Lisa's like,
so are you.
And Angie's like,
listen, you're one of my oldest friends, but you're so frustrating. You don't listen. All you do is speak.
And I do have to admit that Lisa does have a very tough time listening to anybody. She's just instantly in defense mode. She does like to overtalk people. So now we really go off the rails. Lisa accuses Angie of trying to be Jen Shaw and going to her brow, lash, and nail girl. So then the ladies all start talking and arguing about these people, this one particular girl, who apparently is the girl of the girls. So they're arguing about that. Heather points out how stupid this conversation is. The poor waitress approaches the table. She's like trying to get everyone's food orders while they're just all screaming over each other. felt so bad for her. And when the waitress shows up, I'm like, wait, has there literally been no food this entire time? Like, are you kidding me? A lunch without lunch. How dreadful. Anyway, back to the argument. Lisa tells Angie that none of this would have come up if she hadn't compared her to Jen Shah, which obviously was awful and stupid. Whitney wants to know from Lisa what they're all supposed to think when Lisa's accused of owing $400,000 to some man. This is when Meredith steps in and she reminds Whitney that there are a lot of rumors about her out there as well, and that doesn't make them true. So now Whitney's upset that Meredith dared speak up, and she's like,
so you pipe in now?
And then a whole argument starts about whether or not Meredith spoke up and defended Lisa on the trip. Whitney and Brittany and even Mary are all claiming that Meredith was completely silent and didn't defend Lisa. I mean, we know that's not true. Like, do you guys need your ears checked? I mean, Meredith clearly spoke up for Lisa. She said that this is stupid. They don't have to do this behind her back. They should just speak to Lisa directly. She also said that borrowing money is a completely normal part of doing business. So I don't know why they're all running with this narrative that Meredith just left Lisa, high and dry. Anyway, Meredith stands firm on the fact that she did defend Lisa, and she tells Lisa, listen, they're just trying to create problems between us. Lisa believes in Meredith, thank God, because cannot do another Lisa versus Meredith. Whitney once again claims that this entire lunch doesn't prove anything. So Lisa flips it on Whitney and she's like,
so how are you unwinding your business?
And may I say, good for you, Lisa. You got dragged by your hair in the last episode by Bronwyn. You've been dragged this episode. Like, you've also embarrassed yourself, if I'm being honest. But you're on point here. Like, exactly, Whitney. Like, you are the last person to say anything about anyone's business. Like, no. Like, sit there and eat your food. Of course, Bronwyn, because she hates Lisa and she's gonna defend anyone who Lisa has an issue with, she jumps in and she's like,
don't talk about her business. Don't say anything. You're deflecting.
But Lisa just repeats her question, and Whitney finally says,
well, you don't know anything about my business.
And Lisa echoes that sentiment, like,
you don't know anything about mine either.
So Whitney ends up telling Lisa that she's getting out of her business because it didn't work for her. Now Lisa wants her to clarify. She's like,
so nobody put any money of your business? There was no $10,000 buy-in for your company?
And Whitney's like,
no, Justin and I use all of our money.
And Lisa's like,
so no one put in anything?
And Whitney says that her and Justin put in their own money and they're now paying to get out of it. So Lisa wants to know why people on TikTok are complaining about Whitney, because apparently there are people on TikTok saying that they didn't get paid who used to work for her. Now Whitney says that TikToks and lawsuits are not the same thing. They're not, Whitney, but those TikToks could turn into lawsuits really quickly. So you probably should just be quiet and leave Lisa alone, because who knows what's gonna happen with your company. In her confessional, Whitney brings up TikToks about Lisa's facelift. That's irrelevant. Like, cosmetic procedures have been a part of the Housewives from the very beginning. I'm pro plastic surgery. I don't think that any woman or man should be shamed for doing what makes them happy, so this is just lame to me. Anyway, Lisa tells Whitney that she's the last person to say anything right now, and that she is. Whitney just cannot stop though. She starts telling Lisa that she's lying and that this is a cover-up. So now Lisa gets really frustrated. She starts screaming,
it's not a cover-up. It's a judge saying it's effing dismissed.
So Whitney, for what feels like the 100th time, once again asks,
well, what's dismissed?
So Lisa brings up Whitney's business again. So now Whitney is really mad. Like, she jumps out of her seat. She slams her hand on the table. She's screaming at Lisa.
Why are you going there right now, Lisa?
Now both ladies are screaming, yelling at each other. They're both calling each other liars and disgusting. Lisa starts saying something to Whitney, but she gets cut off by Whitney. But it sounds like,
listen, you redhead.
Like she wanted to say more, but Whitney thinks she called her redneck instead of a redhead, so she just gets even more upset. Mind you, it's also really messed up to use a hair color as a drag, but we didn't see where Lisa was trying to go with it. Anyway, like I said, Whitney thinks she was just called a redneck, so she gives Lisa the finger and tells her she's done with her. This is when Lisa brings up all the times that Whitney has lied before, and she has lied many times over the seasons. We all know that. So Whitney's just screaming that she doesn't source her jewelry from Alibaba and that she's trying to save Wild Rose Beauty, and that as a woman, Lisa should care about her business. But I'm like, Whitney, you are a woman, you're a woman in business, and you don't care about Lisa's business. All you're trying to do is make her look bad and like just drag her. Like, you were not supportive at all. So Lisa points out the double standard in this group, which is completely correct. And she's like, oh, so because Whitney's upset about her business struggles, no one's going to talk about her, but they like to talk about Lisa, no matter what she's going through. Whitney's still standing over the table. She's still screaming in Lisa's face that she didn't pile on at the campfire. Like, they were all talking about it. And Meredith didn't speak up for Lisa. Meredith's just like,
oh, the liar is telling some more lies.
So this is when Whitney actually picks up her napkin and throws it at Lisa. And not only that, she actually storms up to Lisa and grabs her arm and like starts yanking at her arm and screaming in her face. Like, I have to say, I was so impressed with Lisa. She kept her cool. She did not seem fazed at all. Meanwhile, Whitney's literally screaming in her face, like, and Lisa's just like, goodbye, goodbye. I think we can all agree that you don't throw things at people, and also you don't touch anyone in anger ever. And what Whitney did is so wrong, and Whitney can be glad that she did that to Lisa, who likes to fight with her words, and not some of the other housewives, because she would have gotten her behind whooped. Like, she would have been under that table along with her napkin if she had tried that on the Real Housewives of Jersey or Potomac. So let me just leave it there. Anyway, this is where the episode ends. Like I said, the lunch was mostly embarrassing. It didn't fulfill its purpose, but I see where Lisa was trying to go with it. She should have just done it differently, in my opinion. I think she had some good stuff in there, and at the end of the day, she did say very clearly that the lawsuits were dismissed, at least the 4, and for some reason the ladies just are refusing to accept that. Like, what more do you want the lady to say? Like, you can take it or you can leave it, but like just stop bothering. But like, what is Lisa supposed to do, you know? If she says she hasn't done these things and it's a lie, then that's her position. Now, could she have been more open about the 5th lawsuit and maybe explained that one better and not made it seem like that was dismissed? Also, 100%. But like I said, I don't know what the ladies wanted from her. So let's see how this saga continues. Thank you so much for watching. I cannot wait to see you on our next vacation. Until then, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, have a blessed day, you guys. Bye.